By far, this is the most common question that I get asked. How do I start to learn fill-in technology here? And my answer is based off of an answer I once heard said by Tony Kornheiser on his podcast. Now, Tony used to be a sports reporter for the Washington Post. And one time he got asked the question, how do I write longer form articles? And his answer was, write longer form articles. Now, granted, that's rather glib, but there's a lot of truth there. How do you learn a particular technology? The answer is to start using that particular technology. If you want to learn how to do web dev, if you want to learn machine learning, if you want to learn blockchain, the answer to all of those is to do the thing, is to create web pages, is to analyze data, is to start creating solutions with blockchain, is to do all of those things. So the next question then becomes, well, what do I do with it? And the answer is to make it something personal. Make it something that's going to be interesting or fun to you. Find a passion. When I started doing web development, I created a website for my fantasy football league. And what was great about this is it was something that I was definitely interested in, and it challenged me because I had to start to put together data models. I needed to worry about allowing people to log on. I needed to do business logic, and of course put together a front end that people could use to access this application. So I learned an awful lot, skills in fact I apply to this very day. So let's take that approach and apply that to machine learning. So let's say you want to learn machine learning. Cool. Well, what would you want to do with machine learning? What's a problem that you might want to begin to explore? Let's say that you have a passion around rescue animals, which if you know anything about me, you know that that's something that I'm very passionate about. And let's say that you want to start to do a little bit of research about dog shelters, maybe about the speed at which certain dogs get adopted, maybe about return rates, why it is that dogs are surrendered back, and things like that. Okay, cool. So now we know what it is that we want to do. We want to start to answer some of those questions. The next step is to then start to look for a data set that we can go in and analyze. And what's great about today's day and age is if you go do an internet search, you're going to find data sets for almost anything. So you can absolutely go find a couple of data sets around dog shelters. And now start to take one of those questions and break that down into smaller chunks. So maybe I want to start to analyze by breed how long a dog happens to be in a particular shelter. So step one, I need to display the data. So now that I've found the data, let me display it. And that's going to take me down the path of like Jupyter Notebooks and Python and pandas and those types of things. And then the next step, now that I'm displaying some data, is to start to filter that data. So maybe I only need certain parts of it. So now I need to learn how to filter those parts out. And now what I want to do is start to analyze that data. Maybe I want to start to put together some predictions based on that. And so now that's going to start to lead me down a path of linear regression. And what I want you to notice here is that what's driving my exploration is not the technology. I'm not learning the technology for technology's sake, but rather I'm learning the technology to try and answer the questions that I have. I'm trying to put it to use. I'm trying to solve something with this. And don't worry about whether or not you're creating a solution for an already solved problem. Your goal here is not to trailblaze. Your goal here is not to do something brand new. Your goal here is to learn the technology, but you're doing it through an exercise that's of interest to you personally. So that's really it. If you want to learn a particular technology, do the technology. find a way to make it personal to you and to start then building a solution that's based around that just happens to use the technology.